People think democracy is about elections every 5 years. But in Ambedkar's understanding, he says democracy is a form of associated living, which again takes you back to the idea of social democracy and the idea that unless you have a solidarity within society, your democracy will be democracy for the few.
There's a talk where you spoke about how can you agitate for queer rights in the time of fascism, or for that matter, what can the queer rights movement do to defeat fascism?
What does fascism seek to do? It seeks to control choices people make about their lives. It seeks to control choices about who you choose to love or who you choose to be with. It is a control or a way of monitoring the right to love.
The right to love derives from the recognition of the right of the individual, as opposed to the state, as opposed to society, which may have its imaginations of a monolith. The fact that these are about individual rights. So there is an important point of intersection over there, because all of these minorities are essentially talking about their right to be different.
When somebody is telling you who you should love or how you should love, that's an infringement of a personal, very intimate realm of choice, and it's an infringement of your right to dignity. In a similar way, when you are marked out on grounds of your caste or humiliated on grounds of your caste, that's again an infringement of the right to dignity.
If you're forced to shout Jai Shri Ram, it's a violation of your dignity.
When the other chap is suffering, I should be moved by that suffering. What caste does, it prevents that, right? The other person is responsible, doesn't matter, right? So you have to be able to cultivate that public conscience. So in my understanding, right, Ambedkar is also very invested in the idea, how do you transform a way of thinking? We can never say torture of a political revolutionary is wrong. We can only say torture is wrong. In which case, it may be a right wing, it may be left wing, it may be a person with ideology, but torture is wrong. That's the human rights philosophy.
Freedom of speech, assembly and association means very little for somebody who is not part of the conversation, who does not have the capacity or who does not have the social capital to associate.
How will people give up the wealth that they have? Should they be forced to give up the wealth, which is the communist answer, or will they give it up through an appeal to their conscience, which is the Gandhian answer? I think you've given, so far what I've heard from you, the most sympathetic reading of Gandhi I ever heard you give is today. Ever.